Sons of the Southland for Monday, May 18th. We're back with another edition of your weekly dose of Georgia Tech numbers and words. My name is Akshay, and joining me once again from an extremely muggy and hot Atlanta, Georgia, are Jack Purdy and Jake Grant. Gentlemen, I spent about 30 to 45 minutes outside today while the building that I was in experienced a real fire alarm, and I think I sunburned the top of my head. In honor of that, what is the worst sunburn that you have ever gotten?
Oh
Uh,
gosh.
I know this one. Shooting the hooch and
Mm.
forgetting sunscreen, and I was laying face up, and that entire week during swim practice in the mornings, I looked purple when I would dive in, and my skin had not fully healed yet. So I learned my lesson that day.
I'm sure sunburn and chlorine work really well together. That's called exfoliation.
Yeah, something like that.
D- Sure, sure. And not permanent skin damage. Yeah,
No,
no, it's, I don't know. You said shooting the hooch, so that's definitely on the mind now. You're just on the water for a long, long, long time, especially depending on the route that you do. I was a lifeguard though. But the trade-off there is like once you get that base coat, you're
that's
able
it.
to
You're
tan.
good.
At least for me,
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
you do all right. It's been worse since then because then you go out in the sun, you're like, well, I used to do blah blah blah, so I'll be fine. And then it's like, no.
No. Mm-mm.
But I don't know. I'm sure there's a couple long bike rides I've been on where I just come back like absolutely ruddy faced. But no, the hooch is a good one. Hooch is a good one, and I feel like that sneaks up on you too because it's usually like middle of summer, so you're like a little bit let your guard down versus
Right.
Also,
like
you're like a couple
first time
beers
out for the
in.
spring kind of thing. You
Oh
know.
yeah.
You're a
You don't.
couple beers in, and you're like, I'm young. Sun doesn't affect me.
You know what's sneaky is when you have a like high cloud ceiling day where it's still pretty bright and you're like, it's cloudy. I'm not gonna burn.
Right. Yeah.
Spike.
That's what got me.
Oh,
Yeah.
Georgia Tech football. What? Come on, man. How could we even forget? I have cooked. I have cooked on those bleachers. That is
Yeah.
for sure up there. Maybe my freshman year, I think we played Mercer in like a noon game. Oh, I did not know what I was getting into. No shade at all over in section
Oh,
120.
I remember. So I remember that season. It was notable to me, especially early that season, that September, because there were way more calls for EMTs to the student section than I had seen the previous year, because the sun was baking that year. So you had students enjoying some beverages, let's say, and then being extremely, extremely dehydrated in at least like 100-degree surface temperature, given the grill marks of the stands. So
Yeah, that'll
yeah,
do.
like that'll do it. Speaking of other things that were grilled, Boston College this weekend versus Georgia Tech. Boston College was made to look like, I don't know, like a very, very small mid-major to low-major team versus Georgia Tech in a 9-0, 14-1, and then 15-2 in 7 innings series sweep. Jake is taking offense to my mention of mid and low majors there.
No, no, I'm not. I think my brain short circuited. Did we talk about the Fanning Center yet, or did I just have the complete wrong thing locked and ready to go? And I'm
Let's
just
do
a
that
bad
later.
podcaster right now.
Let
Okay,
let's do,
got it. Because I got thoughts on that too. So,
yeah, let's do it later.
okay,
Sorry,
cool. Yeah.
I saw my opportunity to do a nice segue, and I rolled with it there. Um, Speaking of other things that rolled, Mercer in the Tuesday game, 12-9. Just a really weird Tuesday game before the final ACC series. Anyway, now I'm just
Mercer's
spitballing
pretty
here.
good though. Mercer's pretty
Yeah.
good. This sounds like total cope, but like they have, dare I say, like at large caliber type
Oh
of
yeah. Yeah.
type of resume. I think obviously you want to win and you want to go, close the year on a bang. But I want you guys to guess how many spots in pairs separate Boston College and Mercer.
I assume not many at all because Mercer
Yeah, if you're setting us up
Mercer's
like
good.
this,
Yeah.
certainly not many. I will also say before you give us that answer, I just pulled up the pair tournament outlook, and Mercer's a 3 seed in College Station and marked as an automatic qualifier. So
Yeah.
keep that in mind.
No, they'll they'll be in the tournament if they don't win the SoCon, which is, I mean, great for the SoCon. They're 38th in pair. They are very widely regarded by just about every metric you can slice and dice. I think they're 23rd by ELO, 26 by RPI, like borderline two seed. I mean, I think D1 Baseball today on
Yeah.
their tournament show was talking about them as a two, if I had that right. But just kind of listen to that as you do your run or whatnot in the morning. But yeah, Mercer's pretty good. So really, uh, I don't know, and it's midweek, so things get strange. But I think the Boston College of it all really offsets how I feel feel about Mercer. I mean, if it was one thing to say, hey, this is what a 2 to 3 seed is going to look like in a tournament. You saw them 4 times, and three were uh, clobberings with your normal pitching staff. I,
Yeah.
I think we got to feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, I don't feel bad about it at all. Like Mercer's offense, I mean, I kept seeing the averages of the guys popping up. I was like, that guy's hitting like 360. That guy's hitting 390. That guy's hitting 370. He's like, oh, okay. These guys are legit thing going on here. And I mean, just looking at our matchup page against them, like, the score was 12-9, which is probably pretty representative of what a game should have been like, which is both offensive hitting a lot in that game. Once we got past their starter, who did a very, very good job, we finally got some opportunities. It was a lot to ask to get to make up the deficit we were in late in the game, but we did score 9 runs over the course of 2 innings. So like we did the tech offense kind of thing, and of course the pitching just wasn't all the way there. And I think they did the move, which was put Dylan Loy in and trying to be a stopgap, and Dylan just didn't quite have his usual Dylan Loyness in that game. So if that thing flips, which is probably the most likely thing to flip, we're talking about, I don't know, a 9-7 ish, 9-8 kind of game. So it started weird where we were down so much and then came back a little bit. So it felt weird, but you played that game over a bunch of times over. I mean, we probably win 12-9 in a lot of those situations as well versus lose 12-9. So it felt very representative for that kind of game, and I hope they don't come here in the regional.
Like I said, right
Yeah.
now slotted for College Station, which, funnily enough, pair gives them an 8% chance to win the College Station regional.
Yeah, I don't blame
Uh,
them.
Texas A&M 74, Miami is the 2, 18, Bethune-Cookman as the 4, 1%. So fascinating. It's a good, like you said, good baseball team. Georgia Tech, also very good baseball team. Current pair projections, obviously hosting their own regional. An 87% chance to win that regional, knock on all the types of wood that you can find. The current projected regional there from pair, Kentucky is the 2, Coastal Carolina, interestingly enough, as the 3, and then AQ Army as the 4. They would be paired with USC's regional in Los Angeles. That's USC, Oklahoma, Campbell, and High Point. Which, interestingly enough, USC only a 56% chance to win in that category, probably given due to the SEC's relative strength and Oklahoma being the 2
And
there.
there's been some other projections out there that have Oklahoma coming to us instead as well. So there's a lot of shifting gears about which 2 seed we could possibly get between and who's local-ish. I don't think we probably get Ole Miss because we played them last year. I don't know if they care about that. But I mean, Cincinnati's in the mix. That's a deceivingly short drive. Probably not Southern Miss. Then we definitely won't get Wake or Miami or anything like that. So Arkansas is a maybe. They've been floated another one. So and Tennessee, I know, has come up in a lot of different projections as well. And so they'll probably end up here or at Chapel Hill, maybe even Georgia, depending on how that all goes down. So yeah, we're zeroing in on the 2 seed, probably an SEC team at this point.
Yeah, and looking at another projection from D1 Baseball that I had, Tech, OU, East Carolina, which is surprising to see them as a 3, and then Yale. Um, it was not that long ago that East Carolina was hosting a regional.
Yeah,
Like, I
yeah,
do not think it was like maybe 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. So that's really, really surprising that they've fallen that far.
yeah. We'll see. Pitt. Well, what's funny is Pitt's like on the last 4 in zone. So like, there's a lot of and Tech's close to that range. Notre Dame's close to that range. Clemson's close to that range. So there's a lot of turn and
4
Cal even.
ACC teams on that bubble
Right. So
right now.
we'll get. We don't have to talk about the tournament now. So we'll get there. But just like thinking about how what this weekend means. If for us it means honestly not much, but for a lot of other teams it can mean a lot. So depending on who we get in the tournament can and how things shake up. It's just single games, but still, like there's people have some serious resume boosting possibilities this coming week in Charlotte.
Yeah. And I think it bodes well for the conference if certain maybe not Boston College type of teams. They're pretty decent so far, but like a Virginia having a good weekend would really be good. And also, I think a couple teams have the opportunity to play at least close to a one seed instead of getting sent to someone else's building, which can make a big difference in how those things wind up playing out.
Yep.
Cool. Right before we do the weekly reading of records, let's talk a little bit about Tate McKee's performance in that first game versus Boston College, in which he looked phenomenal. I was extremely impressed to see this line from him. 7 innings pitched, 14 Ks, got named ACC pitcher of the week, excuse me, for his work versus Boston College in a 9-0 almost complete game victory. I think he went, well, like I said, he went 7 innings. And then Dimitri Angelakos cleaned up for the save. In a post-game interview, I think I sent this to both of you after the game, but in post-game interview, he had mentioned that he switched to an older pitch grip. Thank you to the listener that sent this to us, the bald eagle on Blue Sky. But he had mentioned that he switched to an older pitch grip, and that's what allowed him to gain a little bit more control and lead to obviously a very, very successful outcome for him on the game. I mean, he's still kind of not to keep doing tournament prognostication here, but also kind of to keep doing prognostication here. If you're keeping your rotation the same for the tournament, he's in line for that first game. How do we feel about that? This is just one data point. It's still, one data point after numerous situations where he's given up first inning runs, hasn't looked so hot, has a very high pitch count. Obviously, like brings it together, but how are we feeling about Tate McKee in that one slot, Jack?
I'm, I mean, a lot better than before. I mean, yeah, his whip is on the higher end for our pitching staff. Like he's sitting at 1.34. Pitzel's ahead of him. Blakely's definitely ahead of him. Loy's ahead of him. Dimitri Angelakos, ironically, is ahead of him. Cooper Underwood's right on his tail. So, yeah, there's guys that, and Barfield got it. A lot of our main bullpen arms are ahead of it. But still, like, he has found a way to eat 5 to 6 innings most of his starts at this point. Like, I think that was a big question we still had coming into just this year as a whole is like, all right, like how effective can Tate be? Yes, we win a lot. He gets has gotten a lot of deep games for us, but it still wasn't like a consistent. We know this is going to work almost every time. Considering we haven't lost a 10th game yet, it's been working pretty well. And usually those Friday games were kind of the hitter, like they had been hit or miss for us in the past, and so uh, I mean, to have that, and I feel him when he says he wants to switch to an older pitch grip. I mean, yes, my high school pitching days are nothing in comparison to this, but I remember finagling with things like this, and sometimes just when you're trying to, that there's a better version of what you can do in some turns in leveling up your pitches or your motion or things like that or your mechanics. Sometimes you just kind of got to go back to what feels natural, and it can work like that. And so I'm happy to see that he had something that he knew could work and went to it and threw really effectively. So I mean, we're gonna play a team of BC's caliber ish probably when it comes, if not worse, when it comes to our first tournament game on this coming week in Charlotte. So I mean, you need to see the guys get hot at the right time. That's how postseason baseball works. Like when the Braves in the World Series, our bullpen was lights out. That's how it is for any championship level team. Like if you do not have back end pitching, you may as well kiss your season goodbye. And
We've talked about it like every single week with this team the last couple of
For
seasons.
years.
Yeah,
For years.
And it's happening. Like this is
Years.
the crazy part. Like I mean, I don't want to like the things we've been wanting to see are actually happening, and at conference leading level ways too. Which who would have thought we were going to have arguably the best pitching staff in the conference when the season started? Not me.
No,
Well, and
not
I think
not at all.
a point I'd like to make on the Tate McKee of it all is like, yeah, his season numbers may not be up there with other guys in the pen, or not the pen, but the staff. But like in terms of what we just saw on Friday, like clearly his ceiling is as high or higher as just about anyone, and he's got the length. He's got the length, and that's what you need to go and win. If you can win and stay on the winner's side of the ledger, that makes your life so much easier in a regional, and it makes your life so much easier in that first weekend in Omaha. And yeah, sure, I guess throw going 1-0 in a super in there too. But
Yep.
I don't think that can be discounted. Seven innings, what? One run, but I'm
One
not
hit,
looking at the
one
box
hit.
score.
See,
One
one
hit.
hit.
I was
Yeah.
like, it's bet. I was like, I feel like I'm underselling what he did. Yeah,
Yeah,
this is
I
where I
was
get
shocked
crossed
to
up
see this
on
is a
like,
ranked team, right? Like this is a
Yeah.
ranked Boston College, and this is a Boston College that was undefeated for like a pretty significant chunk of the season to start. And he just racked up the strikeouts and racked up
Yep.
and just kept them as quiet as possible. And it
And the
was
yeah, the big thing about how Friday went, and which is absolutely the dream scenario for heck. I mean, for every single weekend going on, or as we go on, hopefully we advance a bunch of rounds, but that we don't have to use Mason Patel on Friday. Like that
yeah,
was our default game plan the last 2 years. Was yeah, we probably have to use Mason to hopefully preserve a lead on Friday night. If Tate can be like, well, I know the bats are going to score me 8. As long as I can hold these guys, if I can really have a great performance, then that means we can maybe save Patel. We used Angelakos in this game and he pitched well, which is really also really good to see. He had not had stellar stuff as of late, so that was just, even though BC was probably in a bad funk at that point anyways, it still was very good to see. But that's the thing, is we can, how Tate throws game one and 2 Fridays is going to be a big table setter for the rest of the pitching plan the rest of the weekend. And so if he can go 5-6, and that depends on the bats, like that fully depends on the bats. If it's a 5-1, 5-2 game, Mason's throwing, or someone else that's really like high leverage. But otherwise, like you really hope that he can stretch it to that. And we're in this situation where it's 9-0 and the game's basically over. So that's the
yeah.
big thing I want to take away, is that we saw the literal ideal blueprint for how we're going to run a weekend.
before we talk about the ACC tournament, let's do our weekly reading of records. The Boston College Series, the most lopsided sweep of a ranked opponent in program history, 38 runs to three. Georgia Tech has tied the ACC record for most conference wins at 25. I believe Louisville in
Yes.
2021,
Yeah, something like that.
2015.
15. That's right. 15.
2015.
2015.
That's when they were
Was
like on fire, on fire.
Mm,
That's
And then there
scary.
was Notre Dame in 2021, I think is the one that I'm thinking of because it was like a Chris Pollard year question mark. But the like Notre Dame is in
That
there
would be
too.
Link Jarrett if so, but yes.
Okay. I'm all over the place here. Second season with 45 plus regular season wins. Tech's run differential is 323, or run margin. Run differential, run margin, they're
both.
same
Same
thing.
thing.
Same thing. The Georgia Tech pitching staff has is tied for the best in the ACC in terms of team ERA at 4.36. Jaron Advincula has a 22 game hit streak and has reached 100 total hits. Tech isn't pitcher wins are, but Tech is 9-0 in Jackson Blakely's last 9 starts, which includes one versus North Carolina. He is on track to be the first sub-3 ERA pitcher in a decade. And most importantly, and something we literally have not touched on thus far, is that Georgia Tech is the regular season ACC champion after
Again, yes.
beating Boston College in the 14-1 in game 2, the second time ever that Tech has won back-to-back regular season conference titles. James Ramsey is the first ACC coach to win the regular season championship in his first head coaching year since 1958. Oof.
Yeah, they're good.
Pretty good.
pretty,
Pretty good.
pretty good. More accolades coming in as the ACC first team, second team, everything have been named. Let's see, 5 Georgia Tech players on the ACC first team: Drew Burris, Von Lackey, Jaron Advincula, Carson Kersey, and Ryan Zuckerman. Tate McKee made the second team, and then James Ramsey was coach of the year. And then perfect game named Drew Burris player of the, is that player of the week or player of the season? Player of
That's
the
week.
week.
Yeah. Oh, don't want to forget, Curse also got the doubles record this weekend as well, which kind of gets lost in the sauce of all everything else going on. But that did happen. So we did not get we didn't get Burris getting the homer to set the whole program record, which I really would have wanted to see on Friday because Jason Varitek was at the game on Friday, and it would have been cool as hell to see him do it with Varitek in attendance. But alas,
Jason Veritek's like, oh no, he didn't break my record. He just won an ACC regular season title instead.
no big
Oh,
deal.
the humanity. Uh, so now, next up, ACC tournament. The ACC has finally corrected their dumpster fire of a playoff format that in terms of pool play, I guess this is now 3 years, 2 years, 2 years.
2 or 3, yeah, two, I think,
Yeah.
yeah.
Again, dumpster fire of a format of pool play. Georgia Tech is a double bye as the 1 seed. They will face any of NC State, Duke, or Virginia on Thursday at 3 p.m. This is at Truist Field in what? This is at Wake or is this at Charlotte? I forget.
Charlotte, downtown Charlotte, North Carolina.
The home of the Charlotte Knights. Wonderful. Yes, Thursday at 3 p.m. If things go chalk, Tech would face Virginia, then Boston College, and then UNC in the final. Any notes on the ACC tournament before we go back to bracketology prognostication?
It seems pretty simple. Just win. I don't know. I mean, like
Three
it's
games.
this maps out well for us to get to whatever the final is, and if it's not North Carolina, I mean, right now, yeah, facing North Carolina is the one team that makes me nervous in the whole conference right now, and for good reason. I mean, they beat us pretty soundly into those 3 games we played them in. So, uh,
Eh, eh. I
it
think that
wasn't
first game was fluky.
sure. I mean, it's the only time we've been like, this entire season for the most part, and against a team that we could actually see again later in the year. I guess we are in later in the year at this point in a way that does matter a decent amount, but still, I mean, like nothing really is going to change our seat or standing in the nationwide setting of the team right now. So if we win the tournament, awesome. If we don't, it doesn't affect much. It's really this conference tournament is going to affect a lot of other teams more than it will affect us in terms of how they do. So uh, it's a good week to just keep doing what we're doing, which is how James has had this team running. So
Good stuff. Speaking about bracketology, again, we kind of ran through a bunch of projected regionals, but this is the follow up. Tech and UCLA are basically neck and neck. At one point, Tech had pipped UCLA in pairs total runs. Was it TSR, team strength rating?
yeah,
That's measured by runs. Um, it's gonna go down to the tournaments, the conference tournaments, to figure out who gets the one national seed here. But at the very least, Tech is going to host a regional and, knock on wood again, a super regional bar if they advance. So you have that to look forward to. I believe season ticket holders got pricing information in the mail or in their email inboxes today. So go check that out when you have the chance. Gentlemen, anything else on baseball? I would say buy your regional tickets quickly because they will go fast. That will be the hottest ticket in town in 2 weekends from now.
Well,
Speaking
and the
of,
good news there is for people to not freak out is I believe they said they were allocating requests by AT fund points if you're not a season ticket holder. So just hope and whatnot that you're in spot to get them. So
or you can make a large donation to goose your AT fund points.
no, they froze AT fund points. They're thinking of everything, Akshay. Come on.
these guys are smart. They know what they're
Yeah.
doing.
You can't do AT fund arbitrage anymore. That's disappointing. Well,
You
look,
could yesterday. You could yesterday or 2 days ago.
you
just
can
can't today.
spend you can spend what you would have spent on that donation at podcast partner section 103.com.
Hey, there we
Jake, do you
rescued it.
want to tell us
Yes.
a little bit more about our partner?
And you still have plenty of time to get your Georgia Tech Baseball Buzz 3/4 sleeve baseball shirt in time for our home regional, which is coming. You can find that and many, many more things over on section103.com. They've got stickers, they've got hoodies with the my personal favorite, the Tech Zip hoodie with the baseball TECH kind of arched across the front, a la a good old baseball jersey. I think that's pretty fun. But they got plenty in gold, blue. white, etc., hats, polos. Really, just about anything you could ask for from Tech and some other schools, but mostly Georgia Tech, at least for us. Code FTRS 10% off. Remember, free shipping on orders over $100 every day. Gents, what else do we have?
Let's go back and talk about the Fanning Center, which opened this past week. If you are not aware, that the Fanning Center is Georgia Tech's replacement for the Edge building. It is this new athletic headquarters. If you will allow me to do a little bit of reading from the press release, if I can find it again. There's the press release. It includes It includes Georgia Tech's first ever sports science lab, a strength and conditioning space, sports medicine space and nutrition space, an expanded and enhanced meeting space, and office space exclusive to Georgia Tech football. In terms of equipment and technology, I will make this quick, gentlemen. The sports science lab contains markerless motion capture cameras, force plates, a split belt treadmill with gait analysis. The sports medicine slash athletic training room includes hydrotherapy, an anti-gravity treadmill, a HUMAC isokinetic device, and other modalities for recovery and return to play. The recovery room includes infrared light beds, hydro massage chairs, a dry float bed or dry float beds, excuse me, and a hyperbaric chamber. In terms of strength and conditioning space, there's 17,000 square feet of weightlifting racks, more than double the number of squat racks that Georgia Tech's previous weight room had. And every rack is equipped with a camera-based velocity tracking system to measure, to provide feedback for lifts. They have 60 plus specialty bars, Olympic power, all these weightlifting bars, glute ham developers, reverse hyper machines. Now we're starting to get into stuff that I actually don't even recognize. 10 custom row machines, a cardio loft with 3 treadmills, 2 curved treadmills, and 10 cardio assault bikes, and 16 jammer arms integrated throughout the facility.
If you
Gentlemen.
know what an assault bike is, you know that thing will knock you on your butt quickly.
Yeah, time out real quick. Those things are no joke. Like
Yeah.
I feel like I've spent a lot of time in a gym. I understand like how to use most equipment. That thing terrifies me. Like
Yeah.
it is a horrific workout. Truly.
It's
I don't
yeah.
even know what you're talking about, which
You
is
got to
wild.
move. You not only have to pedal, but you also have to go up and down with
Oh,
your
those
arms.
guys,
Yeah,
the big
yeah.
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's the
yeah,
assault bike, yeah.
And there's a lot of resistance on those too.
kind of a
It,
violent name for it.
it's
And
well, it
I was
feels
gonna
like
It's
it's
a
say
violent
it
movement.
feels like it's assaulting you. Yes.
the
The other
the
thing, the other
I was
thing
gonna say,
here,
as the
sorry.
bike guy, I feel like that should be something I know about. Maybe I'm just a casual, but
The
Jake's
other
gym
thing
experience coming
here
right through.
is
yeah,
that
sure.
Tech has also partnered with Emory Healthcare for its sports science lab and sports medicine areas. The sports science lab is modeled after Emory's Sports Performance and Research Center, Spark, located at the Atlanta Falcons training facility in Flowery Branch. And the partnership allows Georgia Tech to utilize Emory's world-class staff, practices, and data analysis in the development and treatment of its student athletes. Additionally, the partnership with Emory Healthcare grants Georgia Tech access to the WU-SI Performance Alliance and its worldwide data collection, analysis, and collaboration. End quote. So, a lot of return to play, a lot of athlete preparedness, health and fitness stuff coming out of that partnership as well. If you are at all familiar with Georgia Tech and its sports science and medical background, any sort of research like that, this Emory thing is pretty common. Like we have tie-ups, research tie-ups with Emory already. So
We 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 have to make do where we don't have a medical school. Cough, cough. Developments in Athens right now. But I think I like seeing us work with them in just about everything that would make sense to work in. Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's neat. I
Yeah.
think flipping through some of the pictures and the content, obviously everything's very shiny. The building, I know it's been topped out for a while, but I feel like 10 years ago, they had to have value engineered something out of this building. I feel like in the original, it was like taller, more bricks, etc.
there
But I
used to be
think
a party deck. I think they
yeah,
Well,
trimmed,
something
they
like
there's
ripped
that.
out the
still
party deck.
I mean there still is one technically. It's just inside the
Yeah,
stadium.
but it's just I don't know. It definitely looks different there. But I was just looking, and obviously like there's only so much that's different from like a how far past the Culk are we now? 15 years? 15 years on from the Culkification of Georgia Tech's campus
Almost
ish.
20 at this point, actually.
Yeah, so you see the point, right? That's the kind of the aesthetic that just about everything gets built in these days. But like, there's one shot that they included that has the new Techwood plus the like the protected bike lanes plus the GT plus the bigger plaza and the new building with the brick and the nice vertical of the
Mhm.
glass. And I'm like, dang, I know this is a real picture, but I feel like I'm looking at a render of the future, and that's just about as complimentary as I can get with the execution of a project. Like you
Yeah.
look at the interior spaces, it looks like they drew it up. You look at the exterior spaces, it looks like they drew it up. I think like it, and I don't know. If anything, it looks like the building shifts closer towards the stadium in terms of some of the massing. So there's more space,
Yep.
more openness on the front side. Looks like there's more capabilities on the inside. What's not to like, guys? I mean, I mean. Yeah, it's took a long time to get here, but I don't know. I think it's going to be a great front door.
I
Great
It's a
can
front
find
door.
massive
something
upgrade.
not
Yeah.
to like. There's no dedicated data analytics space.
That's what the ISYE school's for. They got a whole
The
skyscraper.
100 point plan? Is it in
Uh,
the 100 point plan, Jack?
I don't know. I don't know, but they got a skyscraper now. Um, no, I mean, thinking about the Edge building, having been in there a couple times, like this thing is like let me tell you, that building needed to go and for so many reasons. Like
Do
that
you not
thing.
like brutalist architecture, Jack?
No. And it's just bad. It was let go. They didn't really care about it, I think, to a point where they realized, okay, this is gonna get replaced anyways. Why bother? And like they let that thing go. This is just
well, and it
a
was functionally obsolete in terms of
exactly.
layouts. There was
Yeah.
so much concrete and steel that you could not reshape the space to make work for
Yeah.
you. At least I
Yeah.
assume not in a cost-effective kind of way. Like
Oh no, not at
it
all.
stinks that they had to tear the whole thing down, but that's kind of what happens with these big concrete forms, you know? Like
Well,
that's just kind of
yeah,
the
and you say that
course.
the modality of it, that's been a big theme about a lot of new buildings built on campus lately, is to
Mhm.
make them be way more flexible in purpose and in use. I mean, the whole student center redevelopment, the pathway that goes from the Campanile all the way to the Colk, or not to the Colk, to the CRC, is lined with buildings that were built with repurposement in mind. Like there are flexible
Yeah.
spaces that can change as they need. They weren't going to be super expensive to change layouts, wall settings, anything like that, because they know a gazillion things change around here kind of all the time, and especially as an institute that's very innovative and trying to change and optimize itself all the time, made a lot of sense. So
Well,
I'm glad they did it here.
and to that point, we've already seen one of those buildings be like Burdell's, an office, and something else just from the
Exactly. Yeah.
needs of what happens on campus. And I think the
Right.
same thing goes for Fanning in that, like, that athlete dining hall, the backside, I mean, and that space in there, I have to assume that's part of the premium push they're doing, the new club
Yep.
type of offering. You don't build
It'll
that
be
giant patio overlooking the football stadium and
no.
not
That'll
try and
be
get a
that'll
pretty penny out of it.
yeah.
So,
That'll be. I'm sure that'll be something. This just came to my head that well, we don't really need it like a new pre-game tradition, but like if we ever did like a flag raising kind of thing, that'd be a cool spot to like kind of like how they do
That's where
the
they
12
put the
flag.
whistle.
That
That's where they put the big whistle, and that's how they start every
the big,
game.
I mean, they do that at the
Like the
Falcons games. That is what they do at Falcons games.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, just like they have, and like how the Canes have that like hurricane
yeah,
alert
yeah,
thing,
yeah,
and have
yeah.
someone whine that. Yeah, that'd be pretty sick.
I don't know. That'd be
Uh,
cool. I mean, they do actually like blow the real whistle now during games after we score. So like they restarted that tradition. I have been in the room where that button is, and in theory, you could just make a really long mechanism that just pushes the button from that
a
far
lot of
away.
conduit, a lot of
There's
wiring conduit.
oh, you don't need a no, it's a real button. You just need something to just push it. That's it. It don't need conduit. It just needs a very long stick.
Or you can rely on students to do that,
Yes.
and with a paper mache whistle, which I'm sure Jake remembers very fondly.
I I do remember it. How's that?
He does technically remember it. Well, that's good.
What stuck out to
Uh,
me here is that reading how many like weightlifting racks they have, that is not a far cry from how many are in the CRC right now, which is currently servicing uh over 20,000 undergraduate students.
That was a sticking point even when we were still in school.
Yeah.
That
That's
there
a
were only
completely different
12?
time for another day.
Now
Yeah. Oh
I say
yeah.
that well yeah like in that yeah I say that I know this is I know that sometimes there's been some staff that get access to the one that's at the bottom of ward law as well. So there has been a track record of athletics sharing that space to folks in the past as well. So it's not like it's complete. They're not completely walling off the rest of campus or anything like that. And then obviously the current administration's been a lot better about sharing the wealth and sharing the talents about it with everyone and collaborating and stuff like that. So that part's like interesting. The CRC also has, as we noted in a episode like 2 years ago about the new campus plan, eventually rehabbing the CRC is something they're gonna do eventually. I don't know when.
The photos are fun. As someone that has been in a high performance environment, especially talking about like strength and conditioning spaces, sports science spaces, like this is a pretty cool facility, and I hope we get the chance to walk around it at some point. A couple other notes before we wrap this one up. This was designed by the Slam Collaborative, which is an Atlanta-based design firm. It was constructed by DPR Construction, another Atlanta-based firm. And then the one of the most important parts, quote, the facilities design and development highlights Georgia Tech's commitment to sustainability. In addition to energy reducing strategies, steel from a portion of Bobby Dodd Stadium at Hyundai Field that was demolished to make room for the Fanning Center was repurposed into the new structure. Cross laminated timber is featured throughout the facility, adding more accents, reducing the carbon footprint, and boosting student athletes' well being, end quote. So that's pretty fun. We took out a lot of steel those first couple of years. They knocked out like a pretty good chunk of the upper north to make this happen.
Yeah.
So to see all of that stuff just go back right back into the facility instead of just being dumpstered or what have you is pretty cool.
They
Cool.
don't
I
have the
see that we're
number.
all in agreement.
I just thought about this. They don't have the number yet, of course, but I will be interested in finding out how many people can watch football from the Fanning specific zones and how much that replaces the 4,000 seats that got taken out when they cut the stadium when they cut that chunk of the north to stand off. So I assume it won't be 4,000, just because it's not because there's only so many spaces and it's all flat. But it will be curious to see how much and at what price point too. They may be able to recoup most of whatever that money spent would have been for those what are the cheap seats at the stadium too. So they may come out in the green eventually, in terms of the raw butts and seats part of this.
They do not have that deck rentable on the rent facility rental page at this time.
It's probably not
So,
updated yet on that end. Yeah, that probably will never be rentable actually.
boo. It's fine. Yeah, you probably have to purchase a specific type of ticket. It'll be fine. I think, like you said, flexible space. All like that in conjunction with the rest of the renovations is all a revenue generation ploy. Um, and if there's one thing that the last like 5 or so years of Georgia Tech athletics have shown is that they know what they're doing when it comes to revenue generation at any cost,
It is getting
even
better.
when sometimes it's to our chagrin. So you got to give them props where they got to give them credit where it's due. Shall we talk about softball, gentlemen? Softball, NCAA tournament. Anyone? They did advance in the NCAA tournament. They made it to the regional final for the first time since 2010, after a victory over Texas State, then a loss to Florida, and then another victory over Texas State. So they made it to a two-game series. I guess one was winner. They had to win two times to beat Florida and advance to the Super, and could not really get it done in that first game. Florida won 5-2, and they advanced to their super regional. Like I said, first regional final for Tech since 2010. I believe that was a home regional final,
Yep.
versus the eventual NCAA champion Washington as well. So honestly, to me, and I think we said this last week too, all of this is just like free money, right? It's like it's house
Yep.
money. It's a free hit. Like see how far you can go. And Jack, I think you noted this in our writers' room too. Like given the way that this pitching staff set up compared to previous years when they made when this program made the tournament, this was the team that was most likely to actually, make this regional final competitive and advance to a super.
Yeah.
But still, need the ball to bounce a couple of different ways. And just didn't happen in this one.
Yeah, we didn't have an answer for Florida's pitching. Like we only allowed 9 combined. What we UF got us in the first game, but only allowing 5 the second game is very good um, against a team like that. But yeah, you need to be able to hit pretty well, and our pitching is not at the top 10 in the country kind of pitching right now, but it is at the where we saw here, good enough to go a lot further than we've been able to make it in recent years and be competitive and not have to like super stress a potential elimination game before the regional final, which is or just not even make it in the first place as we saw last year. So yeah, this was a lot. Madeline Johnson was freaking awesome. She held down Texas State. Texas State had a very very good pitcher they threw in both of those games against us, and only really allowed 1 real run in the first game. We had a crazy situation where Maddie Duffel squared up a bunt, pulled it back, but her bat was right in front of the catcher's eyeballs, and they couldn't see the ball coming in on the pitch, and so that allowed Addie Leshburn to score on a wild pitch. So a weird way to get a winning run in that game. And then we had Jaden Gailey hit a really good homer in the losers bracket final to put the stomp Texas State out of that game, which was also great to see a program vet have that kind of moment in one of her final games too. So, hey, this was definitely better, and I mean, it was just so weird how as a team that by record, they have 32-29. They don't look like necessarily a team, and losing record in conference. They don't look like a team at all that by just looking at that is going to make it this far and be this competitive. But I mean, there was only in the 4 games we played, 3 of them we looked like we had a real shot at winning, or at least had somewhat of a shot at winning when you take the second Florida game. So, Jake, I don't know how you're feeling about it, but I mean, I'm happy. I'm happy with this.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, especially in this sport, if you're not one of those national seeds, you're kind of just hoping for the best. And
Right.
I know that's why you play the games is to see what happens. So it's all very reductive in the end. But I mean, let's put it like this. Tech was a 3 seed, probably for a decent reason. They got 2 good wins against a very good Texas State team, and they just didn't have the juice against a team that we saw them not quite have the juice against earlier in the year. And I think, as much as anything, this is a very fitting bow on a season. Like, not in a bad way, not in a good way, just in a way, right? It's about what you can, I guess, reasonably expect. I think just kind of like flipping around results just for context and whatnot. If you take a look nationally, in terms of teams that advance to the Super Regional, every 1 seed, save for Mississippi State out in Eugene, a very good 2 seed, Arizona State in College Station, um, and then UCF in Tallahassee. That one's a little tough to see, just because maybe Georgia Tech could have gotten a game or 2 against Florida State, but really the 2 seeds that won, other than UCF, are Arizona State and Mississippi State, and both of those were in the number 14 and number 15 regionals there, right? So those are what you pencil that in as probably like your 18th and 19th best team, depending on some conference shifting and things like that. So it other than UCF, it's about as chalky as it could possibly be, even with a couple of 2 seeds advancing. So, yeah, I think they acquitted themselves fine. I think the first game against Florida, tough. You never really want to see a decision get away from you quite like that, but a 5-2 loss and 2 decent wins. I mean, that's for what, a top 40-ish type of team instead of a top 16 type team. That's a good showing. It's a fitting end to a good year. I hope they had fun. For their own sake, I kind of had hoped that they would get a trip somewhere other than a place they'd already been this year. But I mean, I don't know. There's about to be what, 48 losers that walk out of the first weekend of the baseball tournament in 2 weeks too. We just gotta hope
Yep.
it's not us.
Yeah. I It's a sign of growth. I think all of this is
Hmm.
just a sign of program growth when we fit it
Yep.
into the tapestry of Georgia Tech softball, to be artistic. Um, Especially given where they've been. Now, I think we talked about this last week too. They're making the tournament more consistently. this is a bit of a surprise going all the way to the regional final, but can they win, 2 games and make it to that regional final again next year? The recruiting is better, but I think to your point, at the end of the day, that hard ceiling is always going to be there against the national seeds. How can they get lucky? Can they do something creative? Can they find the talent to break through that ceiling? Is I guess not the next step, but the step after that, right? I think the next step in their progression now is just consistently making it to this spot and putting themselves in position to advance. If the
And
if the ball breaks their way.
here's the
Can
good
I
news.
make kind of a
Go ahead.
can I make a kind of weird allusion there before we get into good news and other things? If people want to know how to think about it, it's a lot like I'd say, Georgia Tech volleyball circa like 2020, 2019, or post 2021, if you will. They were in
Yeah.
that different echelon for 1 year, right? They had a 1 year
Hmm.
window, and the way that these program and as good as volleyball has been, that's I think an honest way to frame all of that, right? And if you want to think about the next step is being one of these two seeds that's not on the bubble. The next step is not advancing right to being a one seed, a host caliber, somebody threatening for an Elite Eight, because even then you're going to run into that more well-heeled team. And barring Georgia Tech just becoming turbo rich in softball, I mean, we can all dream, but it's building up a program steadily. And what are we, year eight? Year eight of this, and of the three tournament appearances, two are in the last 2 years. I mean, that's
Yep. Back
that's
to back.
uh, that's a
Yep.
direction for me, and especially for a Georgia Tech that maybe hasn't always been a non-rev investment powerhouse, if you will. So
Yeah. And where we're sitting is our two main pitchers now, Madeline Johnson and Sydney Watts, are both sophomores. They'll be
yep.
juniors next year. They'll be seniors after that. And I mean, this is shades of previous pitching staffs where like we had a couple pitcher where we had people that or when Blake was doing really well in her earlier years when she had that crazy game against Wisconsin or Florida, I'm forgetting, and at least had some time and it didn't work out as well as we would have wanted. But Madeline and Sydney were both fantastic this year and kept us in a lot of games that we may not have previously, but that were not games that historically we had been super well in. And most of this team comes back. We lose Vukadinovic, who's been a stalwart in this team. We lose Jaden Gailey, who wasn't really starting this year at all, anyways, but was very good in substitution situations. We lose Addie Leshberg. That's a big loss. She was very, very good this year. And then we lose Reese Hunter, so we lose our catcher. Reese was fantastic this year. Really glad we got to see her elevate the way she did. But that's it. Like there's a lot of Kenley Hillary, who ended up being one of our primary relievers, but we still have Michaela Caulfield for another year. So and that's a lefty arm. So like we got there's a lot of pieces still going to be here that made this team what it is next year, which is very, very promising. And props to Eileen for making this team what it was this year, but recruiting so well to clearly have this vision to have this base of a team going forward. And I mean, she's still been recruiting well even outside of this particular class of folks. So, I mean, yeah, it's hard not to.
Yeah.
It's very easy to say this team is going to get better next year, and I'd believe you right now. And and clearly they can develop players too. Reese Hunter got a hell of a lot better from start to finish. Paige Vukadinovic got a hell of
Yes.
a lot better from start to finish, which is the same kind of track that we see with the volleyball team as well, where it's like they get that young group all together, and you get that senior group very, very in a very good spot, and you take a shot, and maybe you go, and hopefully you go really far. So, yeah, it's like if you go by that timeline, if you told me in 2 years, yeah, this team is competing in supers, wouldn't surprise me. Now, will it happen? Who the hell knows? That's a long way away. It's a lot of time. But they're on the right track right now for much better results than what we saw this year, which were already historic with the Virginia Tech series win. So, lot of good stuff coming. I hope.
I have the media guide open to the NCAA tournament records. I was curious about how often Gainesville has come up in their tournament history, and it turns out quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
The first time that Georgia
Hmm.
Tech has made an NCAA tournament, Georgia Tech softball made an NCAA tournament, was 2002, and they were sent to Tallahassee for a regional there. They went Tallahassee, Tuscaloosa in '03, Athens in '04, Athens again in '05, Tuscaloosa again in '06. Gainesville in 7, Gainesville in 8, hosted in '09, 10, and 10, went to Knoxville in 11, Tuscaloosa again in 12, didn't make the tournament for 10 seasons, as I guess we pointed out a couple of times. They were in the wilderness there for a while. And then in and then when they made the tournament again, 22, Gainesville, 25, Gainesville, and then 26 now, Gainesville again. So really weird that they keep being sent to Florida. But, you know, that's just kind of how the cookie crumbles in that one. Hopefully, if they make the tournament next year, they will not be sent to Florida again. That would be really nice.
Well, and one thing to keep in mind too with looking at seedings and things like that is the no conference matchups early regional. So that does, start to tie things up. We've had, good Clemson teams, good Duke teams, good FSU teams in recent years, and the list starts to get a little short and it's a little geographic-y, instead of just pure seed. So all many things to consider, as we, you know, basically look towards the future. I don't know. I don't have a huge point with that. I don't even know if that was useful or interesting. So maybe we just forget I said anything. So
Moving right along, NFCA put out their all region teams. Reese Hunter, Grayson Tucker, and Alyssa Weiler all made the all region team from Georgia Tech. So good season. Good season. Upward trend is good. Not much more to say. We'll catch them again next spring. Let's talk golf very quickly. They are still at NCAA regionals. They are 5 shots back of the top 4, in 8th place currently. That is their regional is at Bermuda Run Country Club in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, hosted by Wake Forest. So they've got a little bit of work to do. Top 5 advance to the NCAA final in Carlsbad. So we'll keep you updated as we have more there. Moving on to track and field, it was the ACC Outdoor Track and Field Championships in Louisville, Kentucky this past weekend. Jake, do you want to read me these results, please?
yeah, sure. In Louisville, just a couple to highlight off the page. Lottie Chapel, 800 meter and 1500 meter, pretty good showings. Fourth in program history in the 800 meter, so that's pretty neat to see there. I think second fastest in the 1500 as well. So really solid showing. And if I didn't say the places, that'd be 10th and 14th. I think she's the only one that made the list twice, in terms of just picking through results. Oh, yes. Third place, Billy Carlton in the 3000 steeplechase. He went an 8:42.99, all ACC first team, and Matt Castronovo also placed eighth, in the same event there. So that was good to see. In terms of some other finishes, just calling out Aaron Jones, 400 meter hurdles, went a 51:54, sixth, and an all ACC second team. Oh, and of note, Kendall Ward and Kelsey Chambers went eighth and ninth in the high jump, and RamblinWreck.com said that got interrupted for a 3-hour weather delay in the middle of it. So, good job locking things down and getting things done there. But guys, I really think, upshot of upshots, that feels like a longer list than in the past. I'd have to go back and, where did we, you know, take various input from Ramblin' Wreck at which cutoff for a place to kind of talk through, but that's a, decent number of single digits. Not necessarily the,
This is
not
better than
competing
normal.
for an ACC title, but
Yeah.
it feels better than normal.
Yeah, no, I think we've noted this. I mean, I feel like this has been steadily getting better and better the last couple of years, which is
We've
like
said
really.
this every week for like the last 4.
This is true. This is
Yep.
also true. Now, getting actually done at ACC is pretty good as well, where we're not facing the D3 schools and things like that, like we would at and most of the other events that they go to. So that part's cool to see. I just find it awesome that it's happening at the same, like our highly funded sports and our very not highly funded sports are doing the same kind of thing at the same time here. That's just it's not a thing we are used to. I think that's why we have to keep saying it.
Let me look. I'm just gonna pull the, at the end of the track result. Oh, yeah, 11 p.m. looks like the last one for the men and the women. From what I can tell, Georgia Tech finished tied for 15th on the men's side out of 17 teams, 11 points there. Interestingly tied with Stanford, who I usually clock as like, non-rev powerhouse. But yeah, 11 points for Tech on the men's side. And then on the women's side, oh, one more sec, I'll pull those up. That would be 17th with 1 point. I don't know how that maths because I'm not a track and field scoring pro, but if I had to guess, I guess Kendall Ward in eighth is the 1 point because Kelsey Chambers was in ninth, so you'd assume that get us at least three. So I know that's not necessarily
Sounds
you
like
know
an A final kind of thing.
a huge yeah, I agree there. Not necessarily a huge list there, but they did finish ahead of Syracuse, who finished dash with 0 points. So good job. We got one, but I don't know. It's tough to compare with team scores versus just kind of picking out individual results. But I don't know, guys. If anything, I'm hoping this trend continues, and they've got NCAA East prelims, East regionals. What I forget first round they're
First
calling it. Sorry.
round.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm just hopeful we get a couple of folks through to nationals through that.
Do you think they stayed in Kentucky because the East first round is in Lexington? They just like
Well,
went
that's not for
over.
9 days, and it's an hour drive, so I'm gonna
Probably
guess
not.
no.
It's called a vacation. Do you ever want a vacation in beautiful Kentucky? I don't really know where I'm going with this.
This is a bit. You're just doing this to make me mad, aren't you? I've been there so many times, Akshay. Yeah,
The
but
bourbon, Jake, the bourbon.
or the good food town in general, Louisville. I have not been to Lexington as much as I'd like to yet, but we'll get there.
I'd recommend the massive cave, the mammoth cave, shall
Yep.
I say?
Oh, that's real popular in the Grant household. The big cave, the
Hmm.
large cave.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I've quickly lost bits to play for this one, so I'm going to keep us moving. Any other news and notes, gentlemen, from the wide world of Georgia Tech athletics?
Oh man, so many things. We've got a special on ACC Network coming called The Blueprint. It's about the football team. It seems like it's just kind of hard, a very proto hard Knoxy kind of situation going on. So that is on. See that debuts Tuesday night on the network if you still want to watch that. And then we have some alt district academics for men's and women's tennis, which is good. Uh, Considering we're Georgia Tech, we should have that. Christoph Clement, Jonathan Arwanto, and Elias Shokri. On the guys' side, on the ladies' side, it is Alejandra Cruz, Given Roach, and Tally Licht. So lovely to see that. And then who we got? Oh, we got a basketball player that signed with us. That's cool. Jackson McVeigh, who signed his grand 87-1 center from LJ. Who'd have thought an
Hmm.
LJ guy would be coming to play for Tech? That's pretty cool. He was at Georgia, and he redshirted last year, so he was a 4-star initially. So we're getting effectively he also did some work at Overtime Elite, so he's been around here at Georgia Tech AAA as we wanted it to be. And maybe he still is. I don't know. Uh, so we'll see how that goes. I mean, we needed. I know we still kind of needed a big guy considering we did lose Bonadongo. So this is definitely, hopefully, a helpful get. I mean, obviously, we still have to see how the Scott Cross situation is all going to work out. We have not seen a single second of Scott Cross basketball played yet at McCamish. So we'll see how that all goes. But hey, having a 7-1 center certainly is. You can't teach size, as we've said multiple times here on this podcast. So I will take the size where we can get it.
Uh, this may change by press time, but currently, if you go to the Georgia Tech basketball schedule, it lists the only game for 26-27 as Scott Frost versus Georgia Tech on March 23rd because it's his like the video or link to his press conference, which I find delightfully funny.
I wonder who
Um,
won.
no score. So it's impossible to tell, really. The other note that I'm seeing, I don't know if we got to this last week. I thought this came out during the week, but Georgia Tech, Colorado, the kickoff time is set for 8 p.m.
Yes, that is
On the ESPN family of networks. That is Thursday, September 3rd.
sounds like more tailgating time for us.
On a Thursday.
Yes.
Yes.
As in any
Oh,
at all. If it was at 7 o'clock, there is no tailgating time. 8 o'clock, you can get a little bit in.
Can't wait to see what traffic looks like that day. It's going to be an incredible.
Take
Maybe GDOT
the
will shut down.
train. Nah.
Maybe GDOT
Take
will
the
shut down another
train.
part of 285 that day.
Oh,
Uh,
okay, this is my platform, so I'm going to
on a
say this
on a
now.
Thursday.
No, this whole weekend of multiple public service emergency alerts from GDOT about the fact that a chunk of the highway was shut down, that's not an emergency.
Well,
Don't do the whole "mer" and everyone's phones go off. It happened in the middle of church, so that was a little bit weird. It happened multiple times over the weekend. Didn't like that. It's not an emergency. It's an inconvenience. It's traffic, right? I don't know.
I think it
That
happened at
seems
11 every single day this weekend. Like
yeah.
they fired one on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I remember being annoyed by it every single time. It was great.
I mean,
Like
can't
that
say
does
that.
not rise in the same bucket as like tornadoes, weather, bad things like that. They're just it does not compute. Like
And how they said it, that does make sense. You can't blame them for trying to make sure everybody knew in advance to give everyone ample warning to, hey, don't show up here kind of situation, which I think is what they were probably hoping for is don't have don't show
Somehow
up at the
this is
factories.
somehow this is also a response to Snowmageddon and the lack of warning. Somehow
Probably there's that
it
trauma
haunts us 12 years later.
that generational trauma will never leave.
They're going to get some. It won't have snowed in 100 years, and someone will be there. Remember that time that we didn't have snow plows in the city of Atlanta? We forgot to salt the roads. It'll be great.
I've
It'll
never
be
heard
great.
Akshay do old time Southern as an
That was a
accent
first.
before. I
That was a
didn't know I
first.
needed to know that, you
I'm
know?
glad I have power to edit this episode.
You're all welcome. Anyway, please, Mr. Grant, take us out.
As always, this podcast is brought to you by Section 103. That is our official apparel provider, the best place to get Georgia Tech apparel. You can find our stuff from therumbleseat.com. We write over there ostensibly. You can find us at fromtherumbleseat@gmail.com. Summer's coming up. Let us know your thoughts and your ideas. You can find us on Blue Sky. I'm over there. Jack's over there. Game on Paper, gameonpaper.com, and also over at Blue Sky. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at From the Rumble Seat. Section 103 is on Instagram at Section 103 as well. And you can find this podcast wherever fine podcasts are sold, distributed, and or disseminated. Until we speak again, good night, good luck, and go Jackets.